Friedrich Nietzsche, Slave Morality, Explained and Compared to Dog Culture. I found a good short video, just 3 minutes long, but this gives a good quick explanation of the slave morality of Friedrich Nietzsche. If you are familiar with Stockholm Syndrome, then this will probably make a lot of sense. So, read up on Stockholm Syndrome, maybe, if you want to understand this. So, let's have a look together.
You had the majority of people. These Nietzsche referred to as the herd. They were not masters. They did not have power or wealth or strength, but were in fact oppressed by the masters.
So, in my view, dog owners are like the herd. They don't really have a lot of power, but they have a lot of expression. They have a lot of short term power in like the communities and stuff. But at the end of the day, they are slaves to dog ownership. And so they develop this slave morality that Friedrich Nietzsche talks about.
They are the slaves. Right. The slaves are not able to attain the status, wealth, and power of the masters, and because of this, envy would consume them.
So in dog culture, the envy of the dog owners, that's other people. Other people have quiet houses, they have good relationships, they have kids peacefully playing at the park. Dog owners don't want that. Dog owners, no matter how many dogs they have, they always want more. They always want more access to more spaces, hospitals, bars, jet airplanes, everywhere.
They want what the masters have, but they cannot achieve this. They are weak, they are cowards, they are not noblemen. However, over time, the herd will eventually have a moral revolt in order to deal with the tough lives they lead and their inability to get what they want. Instead of valuing what they want but cannot have, they begin to denigrate it. They devalue master morality and they turn what they do have into a virtue. This is slave morality. A new form of good and evil is now created. So, having riches now becomes greed, a vice.
So, listen to this part. This is much like dog culture. Anybody that has more than a dog owner, they don't really appreciate that. In their mind, they are being so humble and so great and so giving because they have a dog.
Being poor and having very little is now humility, a virtue.
Yeah, humility. Dog owners will go broke with their dogs. They will have dirty, nasty houses, high interest credit cards for their dog, more and more stuff for their dog. And for them, that's like humility. Oh, look what I did for the dog, even though my other things in my life are suffering.
Wanting glory and fame is now narcissism and self adoration.
Yeah, dog owners, they don't want anyone else to have glory or fame or attention. They want the attention for themselves. It's like, how dare you want a quiet house, or how dare you want to be the center of attention? Don't you know that I own a dog? Look at me.
Vice. Being oppressed means being obedient, a virtue. Not
Yeah, dog owners are oppressed by the ownership of their dog, but they obey their dog. They will have signs on their house like, this house is owned by my dog. If you don't like dog hair in your food, don't come around. They're obedient to all the stuff that happens with the dog.
not having sex meant purity, another.
Yep, same thing with dog owners. They will push away humans and say, well, I'm not going to have a kid. I'm going to have a dog. I'm not going to have a husband or wife. I'll just get a dog. Screw trying to get a relationship. I'll just get some more dogs.
The virtue. And being strong and taking what you want means having wrath and violence, a vice. But
Yeah, being strong and taking what you want. Dog owners, they look at themselves and other people. They don't want you to take what you want. You want quiet in your house. You want a driveway that doesn't have dog turds in it. You want to go to the park and not have dogs jump up on you. You want that type of strength? No. You're a bad person. You're a dog hater. You're full of wrath. How dare you?
being weak, unable to take revenge, meant you were being forgiving, a virtue.
Yeah. That last one really strikes with me. Forgiveness. Dog owners are constantly doing stuff like this. This woman right here lost her arm to her dog. They're spraying blood off the driveway. But she doesn't blame the dog. No, she blames herself. Look at what she says. She doesn't blame the pooch. She attributes his reaction to poor breeding and human error. This is another part of the slave morality that Nietzsche talks about, where people have resentment against other slaves. So, like, if you're a slave to something and you want to step out and get away from all this crap, they don't want you to do it. You know, if you want to get rid of your dog or whatever, they're going to shame you and guilt you and how dare you. And it's the same thing with these attacks where people lose their arm. They will say, well, it's not the fault of the dog that I'm a slave to. It's the fault of some poor breeding, which is funny because the fact that you bought a dog from a backyard breeder, as you say right here, you incentivize the backyard breeder to provide you with this killer dog. So that's another thing with the slaves. They have this cognitive dissonance. They don't realize they actually have some power to come up out of this slavery. Instead, they blame their other slaves instead of empowering each other. So she could have just not bought dogs from a backyard breeder. And then the backyard breeder would not be so incentivized to push these dogs out to other people. But she gave money to a backyard breeder, and other people suffer the same fate that she suffered. And that's another part of this slavery thing that Nietzsche talks about. The slaves, they just diffuse all of their problems on each other instead of actually helping each other out. Another area that you can see this is dog owners are constantly having these type of problems. The dogs ruin their property. But when you go in here and read these things, they will say, well, the dog was tired. That's why he did it. Or some other things. There's some other behavior that you need to fix by giving the dog more toys. Look, give the dog more toys and more treats, and then maybe he won't ruin your property. That's the slave mentality. These people think they're virtuous and moral, even though they know that they're a slave to this nasty dog. It's just like in our little short video. This list could be 100 different things. It could be like a clean house that is financially efficient and a good place for my kids. Nope, that's not good. Instead, it would be serving the dog with a memory foam bed and extra treats just to prevent him from jumping up and starting the stove on fire because he smelled some breadcrumbs. So this is what I was trying to talk about in some of my other videos. I hope this one is a little more to the point. Friedrich Nietzsche was not a big fan of the slave morality because it didn't create exceptional people. It just created people that were resentful towards each other. They're resentful towards the other slaves if the slaves want to get out of this. And they're resentful towards themselves. And it creates this type of thing in society.
Virtue. And ultimately, if the slave cannot have power, then no one can. And so taking away the master's wealth, power, and status was now the ultimate virtue of equality. Very interesting.
So that's been a quick look at the master and slave morality and how the slave morality is a big part of dog culture. Check the links for a longer video on this if you want to know more. Thanks. See you later.